When it comes to the Vietnam War, not many people know the perspective of the South Vietnamese soldiers who fought alongside the U.S. But that changed today with a panel discussion at the Texas Maritime Museum in Rockport. It's our top story. After the fall of Saigon, thousands of Vietnamese soldiers were forced to leave the country. Some found refuge in Aransas Pass and other areas around here in the Coastal Bend. And now they're sharing their stories with the community, as well as comparing them with experiences of American soldiers. Some people may not know, but the United States allied with South Vietnam to fight against the North Vietnamese and other communist allies. Today, a translator conveyed for one of the veterans what it was like being in a communist country.
Even though you're not guilty, they say you guilty. Then once you're guilty, then they can take you out and shot you or bury you alive.
The discussion highlighted a different aspect of the war while also spotlighting the importance of history and veterans.